audience.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce Mr. Rakesh Seth. Mr. Rakesh Seth is a seasoned HR professional with over 2.5 decades of experience. Sir is currently the Senior Vice President, Group HR with Federer Lawyer Group. Prior to this assignment, Sir was the Corporate Vice President, Human Resources with L&J Bhilwara and Everest Industries. He has also been the Head HR with Thapar Group, Tata Group, Anand Group and Sriram Group. Sir has also had a stint with the Ford School of Management. During his tenure with the above companies, Sir has worked around areas of integrating HR into business learning and development, selecting and developing a leadership pipeline, performance measurements, implementing robust HR processes, work motivation, and organization behavior and development. Sir has completed a 1-year business leadership program from IIM Calcutta and holds postgraduate qualifications from Faculty of Management Studies, University of Delhi. He also holds a master's in sociology. Sir graduated from Khalsa College, University of Delhi. Sir is a certified trainer for individual and organizational assessment. Sir is also a life member of AIMA, HRD Network and ISTD. Sir has been associated with management education and has been a visiting faculty for about 16 years at some of the well-known business schools around Delhi. His subject of specialization includes strategic HR and all HR electives, business communication for managers, managerial effectiveness, and general management. Sir has also been a corporate teacher and trained managers of Grasim Industries, Samsung, ONGC, Everest Industries, etc. in areas of leadership development, change management, motivating employees, performance management, team building, and conflict management. Sir has also been the speaker at various HR summits like the HR Summit Singapore, HR Director Summit Birmingham, HR Summit Muscat, and HR conclaves organized by CII and DMA organized in India. Sir, I welcome you to enlighten the aspiring leaders of tomorrow with your words of wisdom. The stage is all yours. Thank you.
Good morning to all of you. So I'll take about 10 minutes. Will that be okay? 7 to 10 minutes? Yeah. And confine myself to that time frame. And generally, this presentation takes about 25 minutes, about 5 to 7 minutes. And I'll touch upon a couple of areas which I find are important for you people. And I'm sure it's very difficult for you that you have been hearing for the last 3 days or 2 days, all the big guys from the industries and who have been giving you sermons from time to time what is to be done and what is not to be done. But let me admit at the outset that I'm not too great follower of drawing learnings from the wars and the sports. Okay, because both these things teaches us win and lose situations. Okay, that one has to win and the other person has to lose. And when we work in the corporate sector, we work with the aim of win-win. Okay, so you have to win. Your customer has to win because you provide him the best of the quality of products, because you extract money from him. And you also work with the people, and you have to keep those people in a win-win situation. You have to keep them motivated. You work with the unions, you have to pay them, and you have to get the productivity out of them. So therefore, you have to keep in mind always a win-win situation. I can't survive in the corporate sector if I work with the win-lose mindset. Of course, as long as you draw learnings from the sports and the wars to be a highly competitive and generate a competitive spirit in you and outsmart, outmaneuver your competitors, to that extent, I find the learnings are fine. Okay, you can imbibe those learnings. The moment you get into the learnings of killing your, competitor, that is the area probably you need to take a relook at. This is what the other perspective I'm trying to, present about the learning from the sports and the, wars. This is what my experience indicate after having worked with the various large organizations, various leaders who started off with me as management trainees and today occupy the positions of managing directors and these CMDs of various companies. And what I find in them, the key point of learning was the win-win attitudes. They always win themselves, they allow their customers to win, and they also at the same time allow their colleagues to win through the way of learning. So that's the one perspective which I wanted to present. And the second perspective which I wanted to present is that when we join this education, I'm a great fan of this education, let me tell you, that this is the best education, as far as the coverage of the various subjects are concerned, and this is the education which can create and make a leader out of you. So I don't see any other education in the globe which is as comprehensive as this education is. So therefore, when we talk about the subject of building tomorrow's leaders, and I find that the tomorrow's leaders is a sheer working out of the self-management. Okay, the self-management, how you manage yourself through the process of acquiring this management education. Let me take you through a few slides, and not all the slides, which I find are relevant for you. This is what the environment is, because this is the context. Okay, context manages the content. Okay, as the context changes, your content will also undergo a change. If you don't change your content based on the context in which you operate, you will become obsolete. Okay, so the context and the content has to manage in a dynamic environment that we go through. And how do we start our life? This is what I believe that we start our life with. You have a dream, ambition, and the aspirations, and all three can be acquired if you have a courage, confidence, and communication. Okay, so this is where how do we start our life? Everybody starts the life through the process of dreaming, and the differentiation is how you dream. Okay, and the differentiation between the two individuals is, what is the differentiation between the two individuals? It's not going to be the education in the times to come, because all will be educated people India will be producing in the times to come. The differentiation would be the ambition level that each individual will have. Okay, not having a ambition is a crime in my opinion. So therefore it is important that you need to have a ambition. Higher the ambition level you have, okay, the higher the level you will reach. And how do we work? We work with 3H and 1G. What is the 3H we work with? We work with the head, that gives you intelligence. We work with the heart, that gives you the soft skills. And we work with the hand, that makes you tech savvy, and therefore you become more productive at the workplace. And the G is very important. That's the differentiator. That gives you the guts. Therefore you find that two managers having same qualification, the differentiator is one is, little more self-confident and sufficient for making tough decisions as compared to the other person. So the guts is going to be the differentiator in an individual, in my opinion. And what we need 4 E's. And what are these 4 E's are? That's the energy level. Another differentiator is the energy. Two individuals will not have the same energy. Okay, whosoever has the high energy level will be the winner in the times to come. And then energizer, edge, and that's where the competitiveness that you learn and acquire. And finally, how you execute those areas, that's the execution. Okay, so you have energy, energizer, edge, and the execution. And then the relationships. You all have egos, and if you don't know how to manage ego, probably you will be the spoiler of the relations. Okay, but if you know how to manage your relationships, how to manage your ego, so that will be the great advantage in the relationship. And therefore, I call, the acronym of ego is eliminating growth opportunities. If you have high ego, you will eliminate the growth opportunity of yours wherever you are. If you know how to manage your ego, you can run through various, hierarchical levels smoothly. And then, when you acquire these qualifications, you need to have a great deal of functional knowledge. Okay, higher the functional knowledge you will have, the greater the confidence you will have. If you do not have a functional knowledge, but if you only have the degree, that will not help you. So therefore, these 2 years at your disposal, how they are at your disposal, and how you make use of these 2 years will create a competitive edge in you. Okay, so the more you read, more you access the information, the better it is. And that's the edge, I say. Edge comes from the 4 areas of communications: your listening skills, your reading skills, and your writing and the speaking skills. Let me tell you, all these 4 skills are application-oriented skills, and this creates a big differentiator in your performance at the workplace. Okay. And another area that I say that this qualification helps you to acquire is your general awareness. Okay, higher the general awareness you have, the more confident you would be while working at the corporate sector. That is, what's your understanding of the macro and micro economic environment, the social environment, the political environment, and the sports awareness. That's the general awareness that the expectations the corporate have from the the young MBAs these days. And then the geographical perspective, irrespective of the, electives you choose, you need to have the better understanding of the geographies, how many continents are there, which language is spoken where, how to read the world maps, etc., etc. And then you get into the area of seeking opportunities, and that's where I say that you need to identify early where you want to go. You want to get into the private sectors, you want to get into the NGOs, you want to get into the government sectors, you want to get into the PSUs, you want to get into the armed forces. So that's the stage, that's the decisions that you take based on your attitudes and aptitudes. And then we understand what are the growth sectors, okay? That's what are the maturing sectors and what are the emerging sectors. Okay, whether these sectors are going to give us a growth for a longer period of time, I call it a durability, or these sectors will vanish over a period of time. And there are many sectors which have vanished over a period of time. And typically the growth sectors in India are going to be the manufacturing sector. This is what I foresee, because the way China is going through their economic scenarios, the manufacturing activities are likely to increase in India. Okay, this is what my take is. And then infrastructure and building. Material activities will go as the urbanization reaches the rural areas, so you can always track these sectors for your possible opportunities. The financial services and banking sectors also will grow tremendously as we make inroads into the rural areas. And then healthcare, insurance, hospitality, these are the areas we are way behind, and these sectors will also grow as India pick up the growth the way America has grown in last 50 years, so you will find a lot of opportunities in these areas. And then the power sector is the another sector which is underperforming at this point in time, but there are going to be tremendous opportunities in this area. That's the consulting and recruiting business likely to grow in India, and retail sectors and entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is the another area which probably you guys can look out, because at this point in time it is really a underperformed area. And then there are other sectors that we call IT solutions. Textile is a non-performer at this point in time. It is a mature sector, which I call. And then the consumer durables is the another area which will grow in the times to come. And of course, the engineering sector. When I say engineering sector, it is more to do with the EPCs sectors. And typically, the electives that you all choose depends on the attitudes that you have. Like if you want to get into finance, HR, marketing, it totally depends how good are you and what kind of attitude and aptitudes you have in pursuing this. Don't go by what the markets are, but always look at what your attitude and aptitude is for that particular electives. Whether if you want to choose finance, are you good with the audits, you're good with the numbers, you're comfortable with the calculations, you're comfortable with the Excel. Okay, you can read the numbers with a great deal of ease. That's how you look at and take calls of moving into the electives. And then, of course, a lot of people say the HR is the simple area, but let me tell you, HR is not a simple area. HR appears to be very simple, but it is the most complex functions I have ever seen in the organizations. Why I say complex functions? Because everybody can speak about it, and everybody can speak in a different format based on his understanding, and therefore you find chaos in the organizations. Okay, so HR is not a simple function, but a complex function. But if you are flexible, if you have no ego, if you are good at writing, you're good at speaking, you're good at presenting your organizations, then HR is for you. Okay, and then finally what the corporate look for is the 3 areas. That's what kind of contributions you make in the organizations. And how do you make actions? Because life in the corporate is all about three things. One, that how action biased you are and what kind of a contributions you are making on a day-to-day basis, and thereby what kind of results, okay, you are delivering. If you are action-oriented, okay, action-biased, contributory, and the result-oriented, and you are seeing every day what you are doing, how you are passing time, okay, because I don't think in the times to come the corporate will continue to pay salaries only for the purpose of coming to the company, okay, but you will have to probably every day, you will have to give a account of the what you have done and what worthwhile work you have done in a times to come, because the salaries are not going to be the same as being paid in the yesteryears. Okay, the salaries in the times to come will be paid in the format of, $500,000, 1 million. And organizations are going to track every day, if I'm paying a person, 1 million, per month, what kind of a contribution he is delivering at the workplace on a day-to-day basis. Fine. So that's the brief presentations I have. And lastly, I find that in the times to come, the education has become much simpler. Okay, when I say much simpler, because whether you do MBA from Harvard, or you do MBA from Balaji, or you do MBA from IIMS, it's not going to make a difference as far as the content of the education is concerned, because you all have access to the internet, and majority of the management education material is being produced from the internet. So therefore, how you use this technology and leverage it to your advantage and make yourself more intellectual will be the edge that the individual will derive out of it. So therefore, this education was not so simpler about 20 years back, because we didn't have access to all the material that was available on the net. But today it is possible, and therefore I don't see any difference what is being taught in best of the schools and what is being taught in the probably B-class school. Okay, it is only the student how he acquires this knowledge, because I am a firm believer that this course is greatly an individual-driven course. It is not a faculty-led course. It is not a college-led course. It is an individual-led course, and how you shape up yourself from the education that you will acquire will be the differentiator in the times to come. Thank you very much.